tonight, Craig.
Thank you, Cameron. My name is Craig, and I'm an alcoholic.
Hi, Craig.
Wow, a lot of people here. The Rarely Group. I was first introduced to the Rarely Group. I think Ken Henderson was chairing this meeting out at the domiciliary out at the Veterans Center. Showed up there one night and was asked to be a 10-minute speaker. I think it took about 20 years then to be the 10-minute speaker. And then I've been asked a couple times since. I know Betty, the foot angel, maybe some of the people know her or remember her. She was neighbors of my parents. Actually, my mom was the one that found her passed in the morning. But, and now I guess Mike has this, or you guys all haven't, but thank you, Mike, for asking me to come up. Yeah, I have a home group. It's the Waddy group. It's the We Ain't Dead Yet group of Alcoholics Anonymous. We meet Mondays and Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Well, actually it's now in Mesa. We were in Gilbert. We just changed locations post-COVID. I have a sponsor, Jim McShane. I sponsor guys, and they know I'm their sponsor. I have a sobriety date, February 28, 1987, and I didn't pick that date, you know. God picked it. I sort of feel like I'm grandpa up here. You know, Mike's introduced me to so many people, and a lot of you guys come up here and said I'm your grand sponsor or whatever. So I'm going to leave my number, and then I got it set up to where if you want to complain about Mike, press 1, and if you want to compliment him, you can press 2. You know, but no, not really. It truly is. It's an honor and a privilege to speak for Alcoholics Anonymous. I didn't think I could get 34 days when I came here. I definitely 34 years was out of the question. I didn't think I'd live to be 34 years old. I was in my 20s, granted late 20s. I was 29 years old when I got here. I was not an alcoholic when I got here. I was college educated, very smart, damn near genius. But I was not an alcoholic, I can assure you that. I had wanted to die. Well, you know, before I go there, I just want to share some about today. So getting up, because sometimes I forget to stay in the present, you know. When I got up this morning, I meditated. I drove up to the mountain. I went for a hike. You know, and then I did some things in town, and I drove up here. Now that is nothing even close to what I was when I got here. I have became a guy that I didn't like when I got here. Congratulations on all the chips, every one of them, half a cake, 9 months, 25, all of you. You know, and those chips, I knew they gave those chips. I'd heard that, but I didn't come until my 5th day of sobriety because I didn't need your 24-hour chip. Thank you very much, you know. And so I made it, you know, real clear. I picked my sponsor, and I wanted him to know how smart I was. You know, I just told him how, you know, my degrees, and he said, "Really, Craig?" He says, "How come you're in AA on a Friday night?" Now, they didn't have an answer for that in college, you know? And I thought, where the hell does this guy get his questions, you know? And he says, "Let me tell you something about, you know, degrees on an alcoholic." He said, "It's sort of like curly Q on a pig." He said, "It adds a little bit of flair and not much meat," you know? He hurt my feelings, you know? He hurt my feelings a lot. I hope if you're new tonight, if you don't have a sponsor, get one. And I hope he cares more about you getting sober than he does about your feelings, he or she, you know. My sponsor cared enough to tell me the truth and knew if he didn't tell me the truth that I was going to die. You know, I just, looking back, and everything is looking hindsight, 34 years back, because I didn't get it. And I didn't know how sick I was. And had I known how sick I was, I wouldn't have stayed. And yet that's not true, because it's been worth everything that it's taken. Born and raised in Wyoming, pretty much had a mom and dad, knew where mom and dad was, had 4 brothers and a sister, pretty much unscathed through, adolescence and teenage years. Couple, trouble in school for smoking cigarettes, and then for smoking left-handed cigarettes, and some for drinking, and but no big deals. Junior year in high school, ran away from home, and the reason I ran away from home was because I had this girlfriend, and I was going to take her to a concert. And I was in trouble or whatever, grounded, and my folks told me I couldn't go. I said, do anything, but I'm going to this concert. I couldn't let this girl know that my parents had control over me. So they wouldn't let up, so I ran away that night. And we went to the concert. I knew my parents would be at the front door, so I parked way, and then had my mirror set. I had a fifth of JD and a 100 lot of those white pills. I don't know if anybody's here old enough to remember what those are, but they're sort of go fast and help me to drink more and longer. But by the time I could go in, I was so drunk, I don't even remember the concert. It was REO Speedwagon. I don't know, somebody, that was a long time ago. So anyways, I left them a note. I said, leave me alone, I'll graduate. And, and they did, and I did. I ran away couple blocks up the street to a friend's house, and then about a month or two later, they moved. My family moved, and I thought, oh wow, this is, I guess this is for real, And so anyways, they came to my graduation, and they asked me if I wanted to come back home. I said, sure, I didn't have anywhere else to go. And we lived in a small town in Wyoming. We moved to a smaller town, Green River, Wyoming. Anybody ever hear of that? Rock Springs. That's a drinker's town, okay? They're miners, oil field, and railroaders. We can drink around the clock and nobody cares. You can walk down the street at 6 in the morning with a beer in your hand, or 6 in the evening, and nobody will look at you twice. You can order drinks out the window, open drinks, mixed drinks. You can drink around the clock. And my dad owned a bar. I recommend that if you're alcoholic. You can drink top shelf booze and a lot of it. And so pretty much normal childhood. I hunted and fished a lot, and not because I was a great hunter or a great fisherman, but because drinking was always involved. And we could drink, and we could drink in the morning, when you get up, because it's cold, so you gotta have some whiskey in your coffee, and nothing else matters. I can tell you, anytime we went hunting or fishing, if the cooler ran empty, the hunting or fishing trip was over. It was time to go get more, And anyways, it seemed pretty boring. So what happens, and just like the guy was mentioned earlier tonight, I've been to thousands of meetings, maybe 10,000 even. I've never heard, the police might, if anybody's witnessed this, I was going to say, well, all felons stand up, but no. So anyways, with alcoholics, the reason you read about us in the paper is because when I drink, I want to get up, I want to go somewhere, I want to be somebody, I want to do something. It's not like when I was smoking pot and I just wanted to become part of the couch and watch TV, and I'd always, when I smoked pot, I thought I was a psychiatrist, because I could read all your minds, especially the girls, and then I always shook, so and I'd get the little roach and I'd try to pass it, and I didn't like that feeling. So I had to drink more to get rid of the feeling that the pot gave me. And then, like I said, our town's boring, so we're coming to your town. We're going to get in our vehicle and we're driving to your town. And so I'm out of high school. I'm working for the railroad. I'm making $500 a week. That is good money, in the 70s. And I have no rent. I have no vehicle payment. I have no food. I mean, I live at home. I got it made. I get paid on Friday, and I'm borrowing lunch money on Monday. And drinks were lots of times free, and they were like $1.25 top shelf booze in the bar, and I was not generous. Okay. Anyways, I buy a truck, and it's Christmas time, and I was like, okay, let's go over here and let's go party. And we went party, and we got lit, and we're coming home, and I came to on a gurney with 2 cops to my left, my parents to my right, telling me my brother didn't make it. I was 20 years old. My brother was 18. Now, you hear about that, you read about it, it happens to other people. It don't happen to you, And I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. The first thing I said was, I hurt. I didn't hurt, but I knew they'd give me a shot of something. And with my keen intellect, something inside me said, Craig, alcohol killed your brother Carl, and it will kill you too. So my solution to that problem was, I'm going to drink and drive, and I'm going to die. Because I can do this right now. As sure as I'm sober up here tonight, I could kill myself, and I want to kill myself. I don't want to feel what I'm feeling. I can't put my parents or my other brothers or my sister through any more pain. So I'm going to drink and drive, and I'm going to die. And they'll say, poor Craig, look what happened to him. Same thing happened to Carl. Now, I can tell you that accident was in 1977. It was in the state of Wyoming. And so I got sober in 1987, okay? And I drank a lot. I did not know about blackouts up until this time. I did not know about any of that stuff. But what I can tell you, I had a little bit of fun time drinking, but all of it in. Now, I'm not an alcoholic because of this accident, okay? I was alcoholic. I was born alcoholic. I know that today. I did not know it then. But when I pick up a bottle of booze, a bottle of bourbon, and take a few swigs, I can breathe. I can breathe. Now, beer and wine is what I drank when I considered myself quitting drinking, But, I want to get downtown now. And the whiskey is the only thing that'll shut this off for a little bit of time, that I can live with myself, with what I've done, My parents were pretty affluent. I've seen a lot of doctors, a lot of psychiatrists, a lot of counselors, a lot of sociologists. I was given a lot of pills. I don't ever remember anyone telling me I was alcoholic or that I might have a problem with alcohol. I don't know if they said it. If they said it, I didn't hear it, But what I know was, I would take those pills, and I did a lot of drugs. I didn't do heroin, but I did everything else, I did acid, I did mushrooms, I did cocaine, I did crystal meth, and all that was well and good, and I liked it. I mean, if it came or went, but I started with drinking and I ended with drinking. I didn't have a problem putting the drugs up, but I could not drink. I just could not drink. And so, in 10 years, I ran as hard as I could run. I drank as much as I could drink. In my day, about 3 days was the most I could go, with JD and the whites, and then I'd crash, and I didn't think you could be any physically harder on the body than what I was. I remember when I first got sober and in this home group, Gordy had me buy a suit, and he said, it's not to go on interviews, It was for going to funerals. And I was a pallbearer twice in my first 2 years of sobriety. And the second kid, he was 25 years old, and he died of liver failure and hepatitis. And it scared me, and Gordy took me, and he made me touch the body, and he said, that's untreated alcoholism. It will kill you, and it will kill me. And we used to have a lot more funerals with the bodies, today, not to be sadistic, but it just had a real impact on me. you know, I, we have a lot more cremations and a lot of pictures and whatever. Anyways, that got my attention. Scared the hell out of me. But I really didn't think you could be any harder than what I was. And so I drank because, like I said, so drinking caused me to have this accident. My brother died. And then drinking was the only thing that allowed me to live with myself, to keep from killing myself. And then that quit working. Okay, at 10 years, that quit working. So now it's like, now I really am going to kill myself. I have to kill. I can't get drunk. I can't get sober, and I don't know what to do. And so I came here, and I didn't come here to get sober. I didn't come here to get God. I didn't come here to be Mr. AA. I just came here to check it off the list, because I'm an academic. You know, I sort of like to check all the boxes, and so I came here, and the first time here, I was here for 90 days. I was a window shopper. There's probably a window shopper here tonight in a group this size. Somebody here, just in case AA's got something to offer me, you know, I can come back, you know. And Leo used to say, yeah, you can always come back if you live. If you live. I've buried way, you know, people younger than me, smarter than me, better looking than me, you know. This disease has no prejudice, you know, and it just so I come here and I listen to some of your meetings, and I was here that 90 days, and then I just read this real quick, because this was during my first 90 days. It says, for Craig, Saturday, November 3rd, 1984, your fifth day of sobriety at Saguaro Club. Thanks for unlocking the Mazda, Ron Bond. Now, I unlocked his Mazda, and he had a whole trunk full of big books, so he gave me one. And I was just surprised that, you know, there were all these drunks in these clubs, and there wasn't very many of them knew how to get in a locked car. You know, gee whiz, I thought, you know, you know. So I'm here 90 days. My brother's coming. We're going to San Diego. I'm going to drink on the weekend. I'm coming back on Monday because there's Unity Day picnic, and all will be good, right? 2 years and 8 months later, I come crawling up the doors of Alcoholics Anonymous. The only reason I know the date is because of this book. And again, this time I was with a gal, and this gal told me, Craig, I can't foresee a relationship with you because you're drinking. And I thought, man, how dare her? So I'm gonna get sober, I'm gonna get her back, and then I'm gonna dump her. You know, I mean, that's my head, that's my mentality, you know, just sick. Now I can tell you, I did come to AA and I did get sober. We did get back together, and you know, we spent a good 5 years together. It was, you know, it's because of her that I'm sober, largely because of her. But so I come into this group, and in between that time, I came to AA once in a while. I would come drunk. I never came sober. I would sit in the back. I would come late. I would leave early. I couldn't look you in the eye. I couldn't talk. I looked at my shoes, and I was just broken. And I came to a meeting. I was drunk. It was probably 200-300 strong men. And there was a guy up here at the podium. His name was Craig, and he was sharing. He was drinking. He was driving. His brother died, and he was sober. Now, I heard that like he was shouting at me through a bullhorn in the back. I didn't get sober that night, that week, that year, but I knew that man took away my terminal uniqueness. I knew if he could do it, I could do it, and what a relief. So, but I had this book, and I'd be drinking, and I tried to read it. I'd see double. I would cover one eye. I tried to find this. I knew there was a short prayer we said, and I couldn't remember the prayer, and I read in here. I read this thing 2 or 3 times at least. Serenity Prayer is not in that book. I'm not going to tell you where it's at. Now you have to go find it. So, I get this sponsor, and I just start the deal. He says, you want to get sober, you got to join AA. If you want to join AA, you need to have a home group, and you need to have a sponsor, and you need to have a position in the home group. So I thought, yeah, I can do that. So, I did that, and I'm just doing it because he tells me to do it. Now, and Gordy told me, he goes, I'm going to tell you what to do. And he says, and then we're going to meet together for an hour a week, every week. And, he said, if you don't like, you can get somebody else to sponsor you. And he said, many other men will, but if I'm going to sponsor you, you're going to do what I ask. And that's that. So I didn't know you could fire your sponsor. I didn't know you could say F you to your sponsor. I didn't know, because he said, starting out, he says, you're going to make coffee. And I said, well, again, I'm pretty educated. I should probably have a position. And he says, you're going to make coffee for a year. I was like, okay, And so I made coffee and set up the chairs. And then at the end of the year, they wanted to give it to somebody else. And then I didn't want to give up my position. Nobody else could make the coffee right. Nobody else could set the chairs right. It just, I came to one meeting too many. And I got addicted to this deal, And, and I went on to secretary and intergroup and PICPC and grapevine rep and treasurer. I held all the positions at the home group, and then I went to the intergroup, and I held most of the positions there. I did area. I did a lot of positions at area. But really, PICPC and H&I is sort of where my niche was at. Initially, PICPC is Public Information Cooperation with the Professional Community. I would go out and speak to schools, health, where they have these health deals going on. Sometimes we talk to parole officers, to judges, to attorneys, talk about the program of Alcoholics Anonymous. And it was just, I learned a lot. It was very rewarding. And then I started doing H&I, and I started in the jails, and I never did any time for my accident. I should have. I'll tell you what, you drink and drive today and kill somebody, I don't care if it's your mother, brother, sister, father, you're going to prison for a long, long time. And, it was different back then. I got hurt a little bit, but the judge slapped me on the hand. She said, poor you, you lost your brother, and, that was pretty much it. You could not have penalized me any more than what I did in my own head. But anyway, so I'd go to these jails because I figure I got this tragic story, and I'm gonna sober up all these people, And really, I'm still out of a lot of ego, a lot of pride, just. And at the jails, you could still smoke, and most of the guys were just coming there to get out of their cell and smoke a cigarette, and so I said, heck with this. I want to go to the prison. I want to go to where they, I'm going to have the same people for a while. And so I started doing Perryville when it was a men's facility, and went out there for a long time. I would sort of bribe them. We could take cigarettes in as long as they weren't open. And so then I would tell them, I said, if you stay for the meeting, I'll give you a cigarette afterwards, And but anyways, there was one guy there, Rocky, and I was working with Rocky. I would go out on weekends or on visitation and do fifth step work and do work with these guys. And Rocky shared with me he was doing 10 years flat for double vehicular manslaughter that he didn't remember. And when he said that, I realized that I should be wearing orange and I should be sitting in the chair he's sitting in. And he leveled me, he humbled me, and it was different after that. I was different, and I didn't always want to go out there, but I can tell you I always had gratitude to tears lots of times when they would lock those gates behind me and I'd walk out. Sometimes my meeting would be on Christmas Eve, sometimes on Thanksgiving, sometimes on Christmas. Those guys would, I don't know how they did, they'd like sneak me a piece of pumpkin pie or something. And I'll tell you, it was the best pie I ever had. And I was filled with gratitude. I was out at Lewis one night and we were having a meeting, and they still prison up, blacks on one side, whites over here, Mexicans, and anyways, had a pretty large group, and I'm sharing, and I hear this boom, and I mean, it went black, and I mean, you couldn't see your hand in front of your face. And there was a guy speaking, and he didn't miss a beat. He just kept on talking, which I was thankful for. And I wasn't nervous. I really wasn't. I felt many of these guys would protect me. And but there was a guard in there. I can tell you, I would have been nervous if I would have been that guard. And then when they come on very slowly. Have you ever been out there? They very slowly they come on. But I did that work for a long time. I got sort of burned out. I did get to where I was sort of preaching and not listening, and I lost my gratitude. And somewhere in that time, I have an older brother, my oldest brother. He was getting ready to, he had been to AA too. He was about 90 days behind me, or 9 months, I don't remember. But anyways, he caught a charge, and he was going to prison, and he was going to prison for a long time. And so what came to me in my meditation is, I can't help my brother, but I can help your brother. And so I went out with a new resolve, and I really, and it was interesting. They had sort of changed things up out at Lewis, and these guys, they would come, you have to sign their card, you get 13 signatures or whatever, you get a certificate, it looks good in the parole board. And I told these guys, I said, I don't want anybody here that's forced to be here. Alcoholics Anonymous is volunteer, and I'll sign your card no matter what. I just want the ones of you that want to be here. And so I think there was 12 or 13 in there, and all but one of them got up and walked out. And I thought, oh shit. But I didn't change. And you know what? Little by slow, the guys started coming back in. They started coming back in, the ones that wanted it, and they were there, and we read the book, and we did the deal. Many years later, I was sharing up at 2121, and as I was coming into the room, a guy tapped me on the shoulder, and he said he wanted to talk to me. And after the meeting, I couldn't recognize this guy, and so I come up and sat in the front, and I couldn't even I wasn't speaking. I was in the audience, and but I couldn't help but think, what's this guy want to talk to me about? Do I owe him amends? Did I sleep with his girlfriend? What? I don't know. So, anyways, after he comes up to me, he goes, "You don't remember me, do you?" And I said, "No, I don't." He said, "The last time you seen me, I was wearing orange." He goes, "I want you to know that I have a home group, I have a position, I have a wife, and I have a job because of you." And I'll tell you, the feeling that I get from that, you can't buy that feeling. Alcohol and drugs never got me a high that high, And when you work with another guy and you see or gal and you see the lights come on, you can't buy that. Money can't buy that. I answer the phones on Tuesday nights. I've been doing that for about 30 years. I got a call a couple of weeks ago. This guy's name's Mike. I'm talking to him a little bit, and he's drunk, and it's good because I don't get that many wet ones anymore on the phone. And so I'm chatting with him, and he's telling me how clean his place is, and he's having a drink. And so I said, "Oh, great." I said, "Your place is spick and span, and nobody's coming over, right?" How do you know? And I was the same way. I was so clean that you could have drank out of my toilet. Okay, I Cloroxed my shoelaces and ironed them. All right, I was anal to the nth degree, and nobody was coming over. Nobody was coming. So anyways, I'm talking to we talked for quite a little while, and then I don't do it all the time, but I gave him my number, and then he called me back about an hour later. He goes, "I'll pay you to help me." And I said, "How much?" "No, not really." I didn't say that. I said, "No, Mike, no, that isn't what we do here." I said, I give it to you for free and for fun, just like it was given to me. And I said, we'll go to a meeting tomorrow. So you know what happened. I mean, tomorrow he texts me, I'm not feeling well. I call him. He's got a laundry list of why he can't come. And, it just amazes me. I said, rarely have we seen a person fail that followed our path. But rarely have we seen a person sober up that kept on drinking. It just, the amount of pain and punishment that it takes for us to surrender is horrendous. People lose families and jobs and limbs, and it's insidious disease. I can also tell you I was very prejudiced when I got here. I come from Wyoming. I'm white and right, and if you're not, you're not. And I was very homophobic, and then I learned that there was maybe some of them in the rooms, and then I would try to get between two girls saying the Lord's Prayer, and so there's this guy that asked me to sponsor him. I'm 5 years sober, and Joel asked me to sponsor him. I said, sure, and I take him out to the restaurant, and I ask him where he's at, and, where he goes to meetings, and he goes, well, I go to Mid-City, and I go to Lambda, and I said, you what? I said, are you gay? And he goes, yeah. He goes, I got to be honest, don't I? I said, yeah. And I said, well, I'll be honest with you. 5 years ago, I'm out of here. So I don't know what to do. So I say a prayer, and this is what comes to me. I don't get up here and say, my name's Craig, and I'm heterosexual, and I'm alcoholic. So I told Joel, I said, as long as you don't have an attraction towards me, we can go towards steps. And then he said he didn't, and then I didn't know if that was a compliment or an insult, And Joel taught me a lot about love. He really did. He loved another man. He couldn't even grieve the guy's death with his family because he wasn't out. He wasn't out with his whole family. I had never tried to be anybody than who I was. I'd never tried to pretend to have a girlfriend so I could, look normal, act normal, Now the miracle of this, the full circle of this, is that 14 years sober, my brother, my youngest brother, who's a captain in the Air Force and plays football, comes to me and he tells me he's gay, and he's got a book. He's got a stack of books, about so. He's also got a master's in theology also, and he's got all this ammunition or whatever. Why it's so? I said, Kevin, just be who you are. I love you. That could not have happened. That would not have happened without Alcoholics Anonymous. I can tell you, I was prejudiced against Mexicans. I'm coming home. I'm 9 years old. We're on food stamps. And we're walking across the tracks, and these two Mexicans tell me, my brother, they're going to cut our fingers off and steal our groceries. I'm a kid. I believe them. So out of ignorance, I dislike Mexicans. So one of the first guys that asked me to sponsor him, Mexican Johnny. Okay, Mexican Johnny grew up on Van Buren and 12th Street. Okay, that is a rough spot. Okay, when I heard Johnny's story, I thought, oh my God, what? He'd lift his shirt. He'd say, that's a knife wound. That's a gun wound. That's a knife wound. He had a plate in his head where he left for dead with his brother and a drug deal gone bad. Now, Johnny didn't know how to read or write. I taught Johnny how to read and write. Johnny loved me so much. Johnny would fight. We'd go into a restaurant and he'd say, Craig, they're dissing you. You want me to kick their ass? I said, no, Johnny, no. We quit fighting anything and anybody. It was miraculous. And so these prejudices that I have, I was prejudiced against all religions and organized religion. Father Fowl would, he asked a guy, he said, well, how come you're prejudiced? Well, there are a bunch of hypocrites in there. And Father Fowl would just say, well, come on in, we could use some more, Because that was true. But I'll be honest, I was I was atheist when I got here, okay? I was atheist because I hated God so bad. So God, the God that I knew, made me, had my whole life planned out. So God made me an alcoholic. God made me kill my brother. And I'm going to ask God for help. I don't think so. I don't think so. So I say a prayer because Gordy said I had to pray. Now, he didn't say it. I said, I don't pray. He said, I didn't ask you to pray. He said, you got to do the lip service. So he says, you got to ask for help in the morning. If you don't drink, you got to thank him at night. So I did say a prayer to God, and even sort of sarcastically, really. I said, God, whoever you are, whatever you are, if you're out there, please help me not to drink, because I'd rather die than go on living the way I've been living. And something happened in that room. Something happened where I was warm, I was comfortable, I didn't see a bright light, I just knew to my deep core that everything was going to be all right if I just didn't drink. Now that thought didn't come from my head because I didn't want that to be the answer. I did not drinking was the only answer I ever had for anything. And I'll tell you this, if drinking is your problem, you may not be an alcoholic. If you quit drinking and you come to these meetings and your life just gets better by just quitting drinking, you're probably not an alcoholic. Alcoholism is what shows up when we quit drinking. Alcoholism, I become restless, irritable, and discontent. And I can't live that way. Here's the commercial for AA, okay? The purpose of Alcoholics Anonymous, our sponsor used to say this, Mike knows it, is to do very slowly, what alcohol and drugs did very quickly. And that is I need to be able to breathe. I need to be able to be content. I need to be able to be at peace in my own body, and I have gotten that here. From Alcoholics Anonymous, from the meetings, from the 12 steps, from the 12 traditions, from the 12 concepts, and, it's for free and for fun to all of us. It's available to all of us, I just... but it takes us a long time to figure that out. And again, the God thing, I remember when I got it, I said, well, we really shouldn't talk about God too much here in these rooms because we're going to scare away from the newcomer, And Gordy'd say, you know what? He said, if there's a newcomer here who doesn't want to be here, there ain't nothing you can say to keep him here. And he says, if there's a newcomer that wants to be here, there ain't nothing you can say to run him out of here. He says, you speak freely of what got you here and what kept you here. I also I wear a suit and tie, and that was because when I first started doing jail meetings, I would take my watch off, and I dressed down because I thought like maybe I had too much, And Gordy says, don't you dare do that. He said, you put on your best shirt and your best watch and you go show them what AA gave you. You show them what Alcoholics Anonymous has given you. Alcoholics Anonymous has given me a life that I couldn't have dreamt of, And before Zoom, I can tell you, I've been to meetings in Canada and Mexico and Hawaii and France and Italy and Switzerland and Ireland, and a few other places. I've been very privileged. And everywhere I go to Alcoholics Anonymous. Everywhere I go. And I can't always even understand the language, but I can tell you, I can feel it. I can feel it in my heart when they're sharing the message of Alcoholics Anonymous. Now with Zoom, it's a lot easier, and although we're getting back to more meetings, I'm glad. Nothing will so much ensure permanent sobriety as one-on-one alcoholic, working with another alcoholic. Reading the book, doing the deal, sitting across the table, one alcoholic with another alcoholic. That's how this works. I don't care if this big book costs you $8 or $800 or $8,000 or $80,000. If it works, it's worth every penny of it. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't matter. Because anything I've ever seen somebody put in front of Alcoholics Anonymous, it's going away. It's going away. My life is an open book. I'm not hiding anything. I was, this last year, I was able to give my sister a 1-year chip on January 1st, and that was very rewarding. I never thought my sister was an alcoholic. Maybe a couple of my brothers, but I never thought my sister. I went through a divorce this year. We're still friends. We don't hate each other. Let me say that. I mean, we've sat in meetings together, and neither one of us was armed. As far as I know. But that was a real big deal to me. I didn't get married till I was 60, and I'm 63 now, so it didn't last very long. It was like 2.5 years. But it was a huge deal for me, okay? It was huge because it took me 30 years. I'm a slow learner, all right? 30 years here doing the steps, doing the traditions, working with people, doing all sorts of roundups, conventions, international, you name it. I've been to all of it. But I didn't want to. I thought if I give all myself to a person, if I give all myself to her, she can crush me. I can only be hurt to the degree that they know me. And when I lost my brother, that hurt so bad that I made a vow that I'm never going to hurt like that again, ever. I'm not going to let I'm sort of like, come here, but you ain't getting in. And so I decided, this gal loved me so much that I thought, I'm going to give it a shot, And it didn't work, but at least I tried it, And this was the other thing, because I thought if I got divorced, I'm going to have to kill her, I'm going to have to kill her. Now, I didn't have to kill her, I may have had I don't even think I had. Yeah, maybe, until I wrote the check. But, anyways, it's not her fault, it's not her fault. It takes two, but, I did it. I've done everything that I used to talk about on the bar stool. I've gone scuba diving, I've gone sailing, hiking, traveling. It's just, and there's so many young people here. I was 29. I thought I was young. No matter how old you are when you get here, you always think you're too young. I seen a guy 77 pick up a 24-hour chip, and I thought, why waste your time? Just go finish it. He took an 87-year chip before he died. I'm out of time. I thank God for AA. I thank you people for showing me my God. Thank you.
All right, let's give another big round of applause for Craig. Thank you.